Hello, podcast listeners. This is Ed Franklin with the Ed Franklin No Limits podcast. Seems like forever since I've done a podcast. It has been a while. My goal was to get one out every week, get some good guests on here, and get some good information for you and see if I can help you in any way. That's kind of why this whole podcast started, was for me to use my knowledge that I've learned over the years in business, sales, marketing, operations, and kind of help you navigate life. If you needed something. So I'm always looking for topics. If you have an interesting topic that you'd like to hear on here, or a guest, like I said, you can contact me at edfranklin.nolimits@gmail.com. This will not be a long podcast today. I'm kind of using this to kick off a new season and kind of get back to basics on why this podcast even started in the first place. And I really want to use this platform as a way to help you. And like I said, get guests on here and see if they can help you. Everybody in life is struggling with something, right? We all have something that's limiting us from getting to the next level, whether it's physical or mental or business, whatever it could be. There's always something holding us back a little bit. And I think it's important to address those things and get over them, because in the whole scheme of things, if you're a student, or if you're, have a business coach or a life coach, or, you're taking classes to learn more about what you do as your craft, if you're not in the best shape you can be in, and I mean physically, mentally, all those things, you can't perform at its highest level as you can. Probably most of you that are listening to this have someone that they count on you for, as a parent, as a son or daughter, as a spouse, and for you to be the best person in that relationship, you have to be squared away with yourself. So I kind of want to reset the 4 pillars of this podcast and then build on that on the next podcast that we do. And I did a lot of that last year. I think I'm over 70 episodes now. But I kind of want to refocus on those 4 pillars. And like I said, get guests in here that can talk about those things. The first one being getting over limitations, right? I told you the story about Kit and I going to a trainer to get over some limitations we felt that were holding us back, and that was our health. And we were not necessarily unhealthy, but we were heavier than we wanted to be, weren't as in good a physical shape. And so we hired a trainer, went through that progression for 6 or 8 or 10 months. I lost 65 pounds during that time. Kit lost a bunch of weight. We were looking great. And it's something we're refocusing on again because COVID, whatever, excuses. That's one of the pillars, by the way. We'll get to that in a minute. The reality is 2 things should have happened during COVID. Instead of finding a cure, or not a cure, but a vaccine right away, what they should have done right away is got us back in shape, right? Got us eating right, got us working out, got us doing all those things, because obviously the people that were in better shape, that were, able to handle, getting COVID and fighting it off, just like anything, the people in better shape seem to fare better. I'm not a doctor, but I know that's to be true. The second thing was storytelling, right? Especially if you're in sales. But even if you're getting in a relationship, you need to, your story is very important. Your history is very important. All these things go into how you're going to progress in the future. And you got to be careful what story you're telling yourself, because everybody really has 2 versions of their story. It could be, there's bad news and there's good news. And we need to be careful of how we're telling that story. I think it's important to, like I said, tell yourself the correct story every morning when you wake up. You can have a bad day if you want, or you can have a good day if you want. I think a lot of times I think it's that easy just to decide what kind of day you're going to have. The third thing was self-esteem. Self-esteem is probably in its lowest form as it ever has been in the history of man after COVID, especially. So many things have changed. So many suicide rates are up. Kids are having a lot of problems dealing with this in school. Um, Kids that are just learning how to speak couldn't see the teacher's mouth moving, and they had problems, knowing how to say words. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. And every expert in the world came out and said, this is what you have to do, and this is what you have to do. And the Grant Cardones of the world, and the Tony Robbins, and Simon Sinek, and all these people came out, had all this advice for us, how to be better leaders and how to do this and that shift and do all this. And I'm not saying that those people don't have good intentions and that they're wrong. I'm just saying that everybody's an expert these days, especially since the internet's there. And everything that we deal with in life is so subjective because of the way we were raised, because of our environment, because what we've been through, what we haven't gone through, what we're going to go through. These things are so subjective that we have to really focus on what's best for each person individually. It's going to be the topic of my public speaking. It's going to be the topic of everything, because it's really the basics, right? The basics is how you're going to assimilate information in your life. And a lot of it has to do with that story. So make sure you're telling that story right and get that self-esteem up. I know it's difficult. It's me just saying it's not going to help, but you've got to look for those positives in life and get that mind going in the right direction. And the last thing, I just brought it up, excuses. So what was our excuse over COVID? When we had more time at home, less travel time, more opportunities to cook, more opportunities to do a lot of things, and we didn't necessarily do those things. I think we found that dealing with all these negative things, we used more negative things to deal with them. Doesn't matter. That's in the past. How are we going to move forward? Last year, I had the opportunity, Kit and I had the opportunity to visit Hawaii and go to Kauai, to Polipu Point. And we had never done anything like that in our life. And it was amazing to be there and be relaxed and not have to worry about anything. And I mean, I was up every morning for the sunrise, saw every sunset, and it was so, I don't know, it was so calming. And it was literally the first time I didn't have to seemed like the first time I never had to spend every minute taking care of a child. I'm a nurturer. Most of you are nurturers. You're either parents or siblings, or your aunts, uncles, your grandparents, your parents. You're always taking care of somebody. But for you to do the best job for those people that you have to take care of, you need to be cool with yourself. And that's what that trip to Hawaii really taught me, is that I had to really kind of being able to think clear. We're taking another trip next month. Same thing, by ourselves, no children. Although I love my children dearly, you need time for yourself. Sometimes it's sitting in a corner crying. Sometimes it's taking a walk by yourself. Whatever that time is that you need to kind of get your brain clear, is needed. And like I said, in order for you to be the best nurturer, the best person you can be, you have to do those things for yourself. Working out is something that, to me, when I have my headphones on and I'm lifting weights, although you're just lifting and lifting and lifting and lifting, there's a lot of serenity in that, for me anyway. Some people don't like that. That's, like I said, everything's subjective. Depends on what you like. So as I reset this podcast, like I said, we want to get some different guests on here. And if you have some ideas, or you have somebody who's written a book, or somebody that wants to promote something, I'm always cool with that, because it's always interesting learning from people that I don't know, or even if I know them and they haven't told me their story, I want to learn about that. And I think it's important for you to hear those things too. So, like I said, I want to get those guests. So if you have somebody, let me know. I've had some really good guests on. My daughters did a great job on my podcast, and we had a lot of views on those podcasts. So we're going to be working on that, trying to get some great guests. We're going to be finding relevant topics. Like I said, if you want to contact me at edfranklin.nolimits@gmail.com, you can throw out some topics out there. I'd love to hear it. I'd love to get involved. And if you don't have somebody, I can find somebody if you want to talk about a particular topic. So I know I'm rambling. like I said, this wouldn't be a long podcast. This is kind of a setup for some longer podcasts that are coming. I'm going to do a little bit different things with some marketing on my podcast. And I'm looking for your help, and anything that you want to hear, we can do. Again, this is the Ed Franklin No Limits podcast. This is kind of like a commercial today, but stay tuned. Watch my Facebook feed, watch my LinkedIn feed, and subscribe to my YouTube channel at Franklin No Limits. And let's see if we can get this podcast turned into something that you all want that can help you on a regular basis. So I'll talk to you all soon. Thank you very much for listening, and stand by. It's going to get better.